I had always been drawn to the darker side of life, the things that go bump in the night, the inexplicable, the forbidden. It all held a morbid fascination for me. So, when I found myself alone in the city one moonless night, I couldn't resist the pull of its most notorious alleys. The first alley I entered was a narrow, winding path between towering buildings, their windows long shattered and their facades marred by graffiti. The only light was a distant, flickering street lamp that cast long, distorted shadows. As I ventured deeper, a sense of unease gnawed at me, but I welcomed it. There, in the alley's darkest corner, I saw it, an indistinct silhouette, vaguely human but grotesque. Its body contorted in unnatural ways, and its eyes glowed with an eerie, otherworldly light. I could feel a malevolent presence emanating from it. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. The figure seemed to be studying me, its gaze penetrating the very depths of my soul. And then, with a guttural growl that sent shivers down my spine, it disappeared into the darkness.
I should have run, should have fled that accursed alley. But my morbid curiosity held me in place. I knew I had witnessed something unnatural, something that defied explanation, and I needed to see more.
The next alley I entered was even darker than the first, a narrow corridor of despair. The scent of decay hung heavy in the air, and I could hear the faint, echoing cries of distant sirens. It was a place where forgotten memories went to die. As I walked further, I became aware of a strange, rhythmic sound, a haunting, almost hypnotic drumbeat. It pulsed through the air, growing louder with each step. I followed the sound, my heart pounding in time with the eerie rhythm. The alley opened up into a small, dimly lit courtyard, and there I saw the source of the drumming. A figure, clad in tattered rags, beating an ancient drum with skeletal hands. Its eyes were empty, devoid of life, and it seemed oblivious to my presence. I watched in horrified fascination as the figure continued to drum, its movements mechanical and precise. The sound reverberated through the courtyard, filling the air with a sense of foreboding, and then, as if in response to some unseen signal, the other denizens of the alley emerged from the shadows. They moved in a grotesque dance, their movements synchronized with the drumbeat. Their faces were twisted in anguish, their bodies contorted and unnatural. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the horrifying spectacle. It was a macabre ballet of despair, a nightmarish performance that defied reason. I felt a growing sense of dread, a gnawing certainty that I was witnessing something beyond human comprehension. As the drumbeat reached a fevered pitch, the figures began to converge on me. Their eyes bore into mine, and I could feel their malevolent intent. I should have run, but I was paralyzed by fear. Just as they closed in, a blinding light erupted from the courtyard's entrance, cutting through the darkness like a blade. I shielded my eyes, my heart racing, and when I looked again, the figures were gone and the drumbeat had ceased. I stumbled out of the alley, my mind reeling, my body drenched in cold sweat. I had glimpsed something beyond the realm of the living, something that defied explanation and reason. But the horrors of that night were not yet over. I ventured into one final alley, my morbid curiosity urging me forward. This alley was different. It was quiet, still, as if the very air held its breath. As I moved deeper, I saw a figure in the distance, a woman, her back turned to me, her long hair flowing like a river of darkness. She seemed to be weeping, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I approached cautiously, my heart heavy with a sense of impending doom, and then, as I got closer, she turned to face me, and I saw her face, a grotesque mask of pain and despair. Her eyes were empty, hollow sockets, and her mouth stretched impossibly wide, as if it had been torn open by some unseen force. She reached out to me, her bony fingers grasping at the air, and I could hear her voice, a mournful wail that chilled me to the bone. "Help me," she whispered, her voice a haunting echo. "Help me find peace. I should have fled, should have run as far away from that alley as possible, but I couldn't leave her alone in her torment." I reached out to touch her, to offer some small comfort, and as my fingers brushed her cold, lifeless skin, I felt a searing pain shoot through my body. And then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, the alley was empty, and the woman was gone. I was left alone in the darkness, my body racked with pain, my mind filled with unspeakable horror. I stumbled out of the alley, my senses reeling, and I knew that I had glimpsed something beyond human understanding, something that should have remained hidden in the depths of the night. I have never spoken of that night, never shared the horrors I witnessed in those alleys. But the memories haunt me still, a constant reminder that there are things in this world that defy explanation, things that should never be sought out, and horrors that lurk in the darkest corners of the night.